It's Watch Along Time. We're doing season 1, episode 10, SummerSlam. And I'm not alone. Ronnie's in the building. What's good?
What's happening, TK? Listen, I'm in a whole different setup, and everything that could have went wrong, but I'm going to maintain. You know why? Because Total Divas themselves, they go through stuff, and they got to get on, in the arena and do what they do. So we're gonna do
There
the
it
same
is.
thing. Yeah,
Let's
this is
get
season 1, episode 10, coming off of the what would you call it? The after party? Yeah. So this will be
the
exciting,
after
getting ready
party.
for SummerSlam, as you said. Yeah.
Let's
Let's
see
watch.
if I can find it.
Let's go back.
Here we go.
Won't have kids.
I have to just rethink things.
Damn.
I mean, all this is still in season 1. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we're just getting started. I thought we were done. No, we're not done. We're
Oh
not
my
done.
God. Oh my goodness.
Where to start? We had Natty, who was deemed as the pants. What was
We
well, you didn't
have
know you didn't know she went pee or she tinkled, and we got to figure it out.
there's 5 more episodes to this season.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Don't you think they all kind of turned up the heat a little bit coming off of that little reunion situation? I don't know. It felt like well, maybe not turn up the heat, but it felt like a different show. And to your comment earlier, like we would love to talk to those producers going back all those years ago.
Right.
Like what is different? Because it did feel so rejuvenated. I was a little like, is it gonna feel, as we're rewatching, is it gonna feel, just like the same? It didn't feel the
Right.
same. New
No.
storylines, new camaraderies, and John Cena said he sharded himself. I mean, it was like we were getting a lot.
Yeah, I want the full story for that. Yeah, I don't know, because it'd be interesting to see if they shot the full 15 episodes and then did a midway point, or if they shot up to the midway and then they shot the rest.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I can find out the answers, but yeah, it is interesting as far as their take on that, how they decide to do that.
Well, we talk about that now in current reality TV shows, how a lot of times, because, the money, it's like season ends and then they pick right back up for filming. But to
Right.
be honest, if you really want to make a show, give it a downbeat. The reason is that's when you start to see people act up, because some people don't want to fall through the cracks. And then
Mhm.
other people, like Eva in this case, not that she did anything wrong, but she's, Maxim is poaching her for this and that. And it's like this element of like certain people are rising, other people aren't. You can't help but have jealousy. And I feel like we saw a lot of that. JoJo still is not having any Eva moments, but she supported her, though. She did go to the event with her. So
Yeah.
maybe they were just forced to go
Maybe
together.
maybe she forced her to do that. Yeah, it was interesting. It's kind of, it's like surreal just to know, like, Eva's hair is now pink,
Yeah.
and you seeing everybody doing different things, like what, 11, 12 years later.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's my favorite thing, because I'm the type of person who like fast forwards to end the movie or reads the end of the book first before, like, going back. So like the fact that I know where everybody is kind of
Yeah.
cool. But
But
yeah, it was interesting.
and it also showcases like how they navigate their careers. So like JoJo is the newbie with Eva. Eva is like shining, at least right now. But then it's
Mhm.
like JoJo developing her other skill sets. Like, yeah, she got frustrated, but she's singing the national anthem, and I believe you said she transitioned into like hosting,
Yeah,
right?
she was
Commentary.
um
Yeah.
the ring announcer. She became the ring announcer.
You see all the things that are developing. Was Natty being spoiled? Was she being a baby with the little situation? She was kind of mean to Trinity, which I didn't like that.
Well, I don't think anybody I don't think anybody wants to tinkle or pee or whatever in their pants if there is no toilet present.
Okay.
It doesn't feel good, like, all the things.
Not in your career either, where it's like, yeah, part of your,
Yeah,
blogs and are talking about
and
you.
you're in the middle of a ring, like, it doesn't, it's so, I feel like definitely you feel a certain way, a
Mhm.
little bit of embarrassment. Also, you just don't know, because it's like, hypothetically, I think as a woman, I think your natural thing is like, oh, well, everybody can see the back. It's on the back of my pants when it's really not. But you feel like psychologically you feel that way. So I could definitely feel that. Like, there's so many people in the audience, and you don't get, at that time, women's matches weren't happening as often as they are now. So like your opportunity to have a one-on-one match and this happened. So I think it was I just think just emotionally it was a lot. It just goes back to, John and Nikki, what I was saying, as far as, taking into account other people's feelings. But when you're in the middle of your field fest, meaning that something's gone wrong in your life or whatever, it's really hard to take into account somebody else's feelings, because you're, I'm saying, you're in the middle of doing you. So the person who is witnessing it should be a little bit more accommodating and saying, like, somebody says, hey, I don't want to talk about it, acknowledge it and say, okay, well, the mature person will come around and say, this is what happened, opposed to, somebody who just shuts it all down. So, I get it.
A really good conversation, and kind of taking support, yet also keeping it real with, for the sake of the Funkadactyls. I like the way Trin spoke with Ariane about Ariane getting frustrated. And I was trying to develop, like, what is it about Ariane? Because we saw road rage, we saw some stuff with Vin. But then we also had that beautiful scene too. Like, this episode was different. I felt like, yes, we get the regular viewing time, but it felt like there was a little bit more. And it's always great when you get to see somebody go through that road rage or the relationship stuff, and her taking a moment. I got real touched by the concept of, even like when I get frustrated, you know what I mean? It's these things that we put on as shells to protect ourselves at certain stages, but then we do it forever. If nobody tells us otherwise, we don't get to like switch it up. So I love that. I mean, obviously, I think Ariane's a great girl anyway, but I like that she had that moment with her mom. She didn't embarrass her mother on national TV either, and the mom kind of felt for her. She was like, I never wanted you to date in the way that you kind of worried about those things.
Right.
That's big. That's, and the mom also looked like she was 29 years old. Like, come on.
Don't crack. Shout out to her mom.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it was a good. I mean, we're all building blocks. Everything is like a building block of something else that's transpiring in our life to get us to this point, and it's just more and more stuff, and the onus is on us, especially in the childhood phase where we don't necessarily know what's going on. So the onus is on us when we become adults to look back and say, okay, well, why am I like this, and to look at that. So. MDB with a lot of comments. So shout out to MDB. I think you held it down for all three of our shows today. Ariane's a typical modern woman. Trini has traditional values, and you can really tell. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I just think that everybody, like I said, you have a certain set of building blocks, and I don't know if it has to do with modern or traditional. It's just that Ariane was exuding certain things because of some stuff that happened in her past. I actually think she's very traditional, just in talking to her personally. So I don't think that's the case. And also, too, you have to take into account when you're on a TV show, the way it's edited, the stuff that we see in the hour or 45 minutes is, hours of television. There was a morning show that I used to do, I was a part of, and we filmed for 3 to 4 hours a day for 30 minutes of TV time. So, there's probably a lot of other things that we didn't see that got edited on the cutting room floor, which is they don't do that anymore because that's not how you edit, but you know what I'm saying.
Are we going to edit this question that I'm going to throw at you? In the episode, we see a lot that's going on with Nikki because she's, of course, threatened by Eva. But Nikki, earlier in the episode, is talking about the ping that happened with Natty. To which John said, well, yeah, it happens to the best of us. I sharded myself, is what John Cena said. TK, the world-class athlete that you are, have you ever had a moment? Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, when you're pushing your body to a whole nother level, shout out to, I was out at Mount Sac at the time, but when you're pushing your body to a whole nother level, we were doing, I think it was like 200 repeats. And what that is we do, you run 200, which is half the track, and then you have like a certain amount of break. And I think at that time it was like 15 to 20 seconds, then you run again. And your body, like if you're pushing your body to that level and it's kind of almost like a learning lesson too. You have to go through it to figure out how you can eat, what you can eat, and how much time you need, because you're pushing your body to that level. So it did happen. It happened in college. Thankfully, it didn't happen while I was running, but I was very it was one of those things that if I waited a few more minutes, it would have been a very dangerous situation. So thankfully the restroom was there. And it was one of those things where it's just I guess we're not. I just ended up like Natty, I think, threw the stuff outside the bathroom. I just threw it in the rubbish and called it a day. It's like, we're not even taking this. That's a lesson that's learned, and that's memory and memento I don't want to keep. So yes, it happened while I was running. So that's
I love it.
Bathroom. So but yeah.
I love it. All in all, it was a good episode. I mean, like I said, it reinvigorated, like, okay, new storylines, what's going on? Everyone's trying to fight for the top spot, Natty's getting very proud. There was a part of me that said, wow, she's really tense this episode. But I'm thinking, like, okay, she didn't have a honeymoon, or do we not know about the honeymoon? Or is she kind of like, oh, I wish I would have married the other guy? No, I know she doesn't.
Wow, don't be shading Natty like that.
I know she doesn't really, but in this episode, can I agree? I mean, can we agree? Like, she was a little more tense, even thinking about it. No, you don't think so?
I think it's just the pressure. Like, again, you have to think of, it's commonplace to see women now, and so many female wrestlers do amazing things right now. But it's just kind of like, say you're the first in your family to go to college or whatever, or to do anything. Or, Natty's, from a pedigree. Her family, she comes from a family of wrestlers. And so to be in the position that she's in, and also to get that opportunity, I feel like you would feel a certain, because it's not your everyday, like how it is now. So I think it was just because, okay, she had the P incident. Now she's getting another opportunity, but the opportunities might have been far and few in between. So I think it's just more of just the things that were happening around her, not necessarily overreacting. You get a little bit stressed when you feel. And I think too, she's I wouldn't say a perfectionist, but she likes things done correctly, do them right. So I think when you have that air about you too, you put a little bit more pressure on yourself.
It was probably pressure. What I said was just,
MDB 999 is definitely Natalia's great, but she have an A-type personality where she overworks. Yeah, that's exactly that's like, I have an A-type personality as well, where I want to make sure certain things, I've kind of learned how to navigate through it. But at one point, it's like everything had to be perfect, and that's just not how life is.
Eva was in particularly really funny this episode. I mean, she'd saunter over there right next to the girls, the Bellas, and be like, what's really funny? The blogs are all saying it's all about Eva Marie.
I really wonder if she did that on her own, or the producers made her do that, because I feel like people who do that, it's just like why did you take the time to do that? If the blogs are saying that, and you are the star of the blogs, and just enjoy the moment to yourself, or talk to your boyfriend or your close friend or whatever. Or maybe she felt like they were her friends and she didn't know that she was annoying them. I don't know. It's just weird. I'm very, I don't know. I kind of like to keep certain news to myself or with certain people. I don't, go up to people in the office and say, hey, by the way, it doesn't, it doesn't work like that for me.
Well, if anything, if you are trying to make that power move, you don't want to telegraph it either. I think really what it had to do with is, remember we were saying, as we're rewatching this series, was there downtime between that reunion after party until when they picked up shooting again? I feel like there had to be downtime, because I feel like she came back and now she's hearing about her in the blogs, because otherwise would she be hearing it that detailed? And while she should have just really lived it up. I mean, I like Eva Marie, so there's no issue. But while she should have just lived it up and been the girl that's excelling in Maxim or whatever, there was something that was extra. I mean, she walked right over. I think you mentioned it when we were rewatching.
Yeah, her hand, her armpit was literally over their mom. Like
that's extra. That's not an accident. Even if you're saying something shady, that makes sense. It's competitive. but you doing that in front of my mother? Like, no. Like,
Yeah, it's
no.
not like in front of my mother, it's literally over my mother. And I
Yeah.
know my mom would have been like, why is
Yeah.
your armpit over my head right now?
Who's your MVP this episode?
I mean, I think my MVP, and for folks who know me like that, it will always be Naomi. She's like just level-headed. She keeps
Yeah.
it, cool, calm, collective. She goes through her stuff too as the seasons progress.
Yeah.
But I think it's that it doesn't. Unfortunately, level-headedness doesn't necessarily make for TV. So
Right.
definitely, Eva, her personality definitely made for it. Nikki stepped up her game. The P Gate, which I'm really wondering. I got the opportunity to interview Natalia for where are we? WrestleMania. And I if I ever get to, I mean, I only had so little time, so I don't know if I will ask you like, hey, by the way, 12 years ago, did you actually pee? But I'm really wondering if that was like really a thing or was it was a set, because like I said,
Blown out
like,
of proportion.
yeah, like we've talked about, sometimes it might be a story that somebody is telling and then a producer's like, oh, let's run with that. Well, that would be a good angle.
Yeah.
So I'm really I wonder, because then again, like how did the cameras know? Like, did they tape it and then she mentioned it, then they went back and like talked, like how did you pull that all together? So yes,
Yeah.
P Gates.
Yeah, that's all I got. It was a good episode. I liked it, so I was glad, and I think we're done. Yeah.
There it is. Well, with that being said, where can everybody find you?
TK, you can find me at randomlyronniejr.com. If you do the YouTube, it's the keyword search randomly Ronnie Jr. If you feel like being really cool and hooking up my Patreon, TK has often told me, she texted me, I'm going to start supporting your Patreon. So I'm still waiting, TK. Go to patreon.com/randomly Ronnie Jr. because I know TK got all the good money.
Wow,
But,
I wish. Everybody thinks I'm balling, but I'm really not. I'll
and
take all that positive energy.
hey,
Please.
we're all winning together. But yeah, that's it. That's it for me.
So definitely, where it was today's Wednesday, so definitely be on the lookout. So we have our WWT live show on Friday, but also Friday morning we have our ROH show you can check out. WWT live on Saturday. We have a watch along for the Backlash pay-per-view and the post show that you can check out. And then our WoW show. And then we also next week will be debuting our very first book club for Becky Lynch's book. So if you haven't read it,
Wow.
Go and check it out. I definitely recommend reading it, or you can check out the audiobook because we will be discussing it next week. And boy, there is so much tea to talk about. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But with that being said, you can follow me everywhere at TK Trinidad. Check out Women's Wrestling Talk everywhere on everything at WWE Talk Pod. Thank you guys so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao,
Later.
Hey, I'm Renee Paquette, and you are watching Women's Wrestling Talk.